Hello, Mistweavers. We've had some massive changes on Midnight's alpha patch. They've addressed a lot of the things I was asking for in the video I made a few months ago about how to improve Mistweaver. Unfortunately, they might have gone a little bit too far. Let's see what they've done. The largest change is that they simply removed a lot of the abilities that are currently in the game. So let's go through them. They've removed Chi Burst, great. They've removed Diffuse Magic and Expel Harm, two of our active defensives. They've also removed Jadefire Stomp, and Sheilun's gift has been removed, but with a couple asterisks because it's been merged. I'll get into that later. They've removed a few other passive talents, Enveloping Breath, Showhouse Lessons, two important talents in M+ for our ramping, as well as Invoker's Delight, generally a raiding talent. These two talents, Jadefire Teachings and Awaken Jadefire, they've made them passive talents that are just always up now. So no more buff tracking, and they're just passive talents. Finally, non-pruning stuff. They've made some major changes to how Chi works. They've made some major changes to Sheilun's, I'll get into. They have added a choice node between Mending Proliferation and Jade Empowerment. And finally, very exciting, the new Apex talents that every spec has access to. Let's go through all these changes in reverse order. We'll talk about the new stuff, and then we'll go back through the pruning. Unfortunately, this is all we have for talent trees. You'll have to imagine the icons for now. So let's talk about the Chi changes. They made it so you instantly get 4 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery with Celestial Harmony, and also you can now infinitely cast instant Enveloping Mists. So there's no more buff tracking on whenever you cast a Blackout Kick or a Spinning Crane Kick, you get a stack. Enveloping Mists are always instant now. I think this is good. I was asking to simplify Chi-Ji. Chi-Ji is like currently has so many interactions. I have a massive guide on how to use Chi-Ji, so I think it's good to simplify it. Sheilun's, meanwhile, has been merged with Vivify, so there is now one keybind for both of them. You still need to put 3 points in, but for Sheilun's Veil of Pride and Legacy of Wisdom to be able to use it effectively. But it will now do the purpose of 2 spells in one. So it will be your spot healing spell. It is still affected by Vivacious to make it instant. It still accumulates clouds like Sheilun's to make it stronger and stronger over time. It still does a lot of spot healing because of Invigorating Mists here, which increases its healing by 75% of the primary target. And it also, thanks to Serene Vitality, which replaces Expel Harm, increases healing on yourself, which is interesting, I guess. Kind of weird. I really don't know how I feel about this change. I think it could be really powerful, which is cool. And the idea of instant Sheiluns on my entire group sounds really good. I'm worried that it could just be boring, as in, like, this is our only active healing spell. It's like, if there is single target healing to be done, you press Sheilun's Gift. If there's AoE healing to be done, you press Sheilun's Gift. That's not quite true. Obviously, there are many other... We have our Fist Weaving, and we have Jade Empowerment, we have Chi-Ji, so it's just weird that, you know, spot healing and AoE healing is done in the same node now, but we'll see. This could be really good. Next up, Mending Proliferation now shares a node with Jade Empowerment right here. This is a wonderful change. This basically means this hugely nerfs our ramping gameplay, which has been fun and interesting, but not how we want to play Mistweaver long term. So this is really good because we will no longer be taking Mending Proliferation and keys. We will always take Jade Empowerment because it's just much, much better. On a side note, as I said, they removed Enveloping Breath. They've also nerfed Enveloping Mist to 20%. And this means ramping is going to be much, much less powerful overall, which is great. Our Epic talents are called Spirit Font. You get a proc, which causes your next Enveloping Mist to cast Soothing Mist on your entire group. Now, I know Soothing Mist, that sounds horrible for most people. That was my reaction. From what I'm reading, this is entirely passive. You're not actually channeling anything. You could still move freely and cast all your spells. And you simply, it's just a bunch of AoE healing on your group. And this has the added benefit, if we look in the class tree, this should work with Elusive Mists, which is essentially a 6% DR on our whole group. Which is pretty good. And then if we look at the final node here, we get to force Spirit Font whenever we press Thunder Focus T. And if you look at this with our Conduits of the Celestials, the new column here, we get the two-piece, sorry. We get the two-piece from our current season, which means our Thunder Focus Tea has quite a short cooldown. Which means we're going to have quite high uptime on Spirit Font, which is 6% DR on a group in AoE healing. It's pretty sick. It's actually pretty cool in dungeon environment. I'm pretty excited about this. I think this could be pretty powerful, especially with Conduit, thanks to that CDR on TFT. Okay, now on to the pruning changes. So this is, I think, really bad. I did say in my video that I thought it's a bit too much that we're tracking both Jadefire teachings and Awakened Jadefire. So Jadefire teachings is now still here. It's just always active. Exactly the same. Just don't have a buff. And Awakened Jadefire has been renamed to Way of the Crane. So I thought it was, it was annoying to track both buffs. Now, if making them both entirely passive, that just simplifies the gameplay too much, in my opinion. Side note, while I'm here, they've added the ability to move while casting Crackling Jade Lightning with Way of the Serpent. I think that's incredibly cool. It's been something I've been asking for a really long time. Unfortunately, they've made it a choice node with Way of the Crane, and Way of the Crane is just absolutely mandatory for dungeons. And I don't know why they put the one that allows you to move while casting in like Way of the Serpent, which seems like more of a ranged cast node, when you really need to be able to move while casting in melee. So I really hope they do something about that. Okay, next up, removes talents. Enveloping Breath I already talked about, that's great. Shaohao's Lessons was removed. It's been replaced with Mist Dispersion, which is kind of similar. It's like a Sheilun's buffs your healing in the future. I think it's much worse. Shaohao's will be missed, but it was very complex and added to the ramping gameplay, which I'm not going to miss, so that's fine. And Invoker's Delight was removed. Whatever, sure. Finally, our removed actives. They've removed Chi Burst, which used to be here somewhere. Now it's gone. That's great. I've always hated this button. I encourage new players to play Chi Wave just because Chi Burst like pulls mobs all the time in the dungeon. I think that's really good. Diffuse Magic was removed. This makes me very sad. This is like a core Mistweaver defensive that we've had forever. I think it's the defensive that you think of when you think of Monk, right? Like it's the defensive that makes us quite interesting. Its passive aspect is still there, but part of Fortifying Brew. Thing is, we're only going to have one defensive now, and so we can't really afford to just press it to reverse effects, right? Like we're not really going to use this very much, I think. What you should keep in mind here before you freak out about only having one defensive, they're doing this across the board to all specs. And I think as long as they do it evenly, as long as all classes get their defensives nerfed evenly, that's fine. I'm worried about a world where we're now squishy, but other classes haven't been pruned as much, and they're very strong still. I hope that's not the case, and it's not, that's fine. I've heard like DK and Mage, for example, got their defensives nerfed a lot. That's really good. I don't know if rogues have been nerfed, though. Like, if all classes get their defensives nerfed, but rogues don't, they're going to be the tankiest class in the game. They also removed Expel Harm. Gets removed because of Serene Vitality now. I'm going to miss it dearly, but again, I think that's fine for the overall defensive pruning. I think the global defensive pruning is good for the game. It's going to mean your healing will matter more and their defensives will matter less, right? That's good. Lastly, the one that makes me the saddest is Jadefire Stomp. It used to be right here. Jadefire Stomp has been removed. It's honestly like one of my favorite abilities in the game. Back in Shadowlands, I would play the Night Fae Covenant back when I was more of a casual on Mistweaver, just because I loved that ability so much. The visuals are amazing, the sound effects are amazing, especially after they reworked it in, was it this expansion or was it Dragonflight? I don't know. It looks really cool. It's satisfying to press it down. The reason they removed it in the notes is because a lot of players don't like the positional requirement. I've had a lot of chatters say this, and that's completely fair. They don't like having to stand on it to maintain that buff, even though you only have to dip in like once basically to refresh it. But I get it. I really hope that they reconsider and that they bring back Jadefire Stomp, maybe without the positional requirement, if that's what they need. Like, maybe just make it activate the Jadefire teachings and Awaken Jadefire, now Way of the Crane buff. Maybe make that buff last 30 seconds, so you only have to press Jadefire Stomp every 30 seconds, right? So it's still really easy to maintain. There's no positional requirement, but you still get this really cool button. I think I'm really gonna miss this button if it's really not in the game. So that's most of the major changes. There's a bunch more smaller changes you can see here. The list is quite large. I'll link the full notes in the description. Overall, my thoughts are, I think they've gone in the right direction. I think all their goals are noble. I think I've always said, I've been saying the whole expansion, Mistweaver is way over bloated with buttons, with buffs, with number of like passives and interactions, and it definitely needed to be pruned. But did we really need to remove both Jadefire teachings and Awaken Jadefire buff tracking? Like, did we really need to remove Jadefire Stomp? I don't know. I think it might be a bit too far. All this combined with their massive add-on ban, we might just end up with very simple gameplay at midnight, which could be, I dare to say, boring. Of course, it's very early, so it's hard to say, just looking at these patch notes. We'll have to see how it actually feels in alpha. It might still be super fun. Maybe all of this, the simpler rotation will be they'll make up for it with really interesting gameplay in the dungeons and more interesting mechanics. And the fact that we won't be staring at our weak auras will make the game more fun. Meanwhile, make sure to enjoy Mistweaver on live while you can, because this might be the last time in the history of World of Warcraft that Mistweaver is this complex. I think it's extremely fun right now, despite the ramping playstyle. I think it's really interesting to play, and you shouldn't miss out. Make sure to subscribe for more Mistweaver content. Ciao, guys. Let me know what you think.